Hello everyone! Welcome back to MalStorm Gaming. My name is Malachi Gardner, and one of my favorite games of all time is the monster of a game, Gloomhaven. And so, it is with great pleasure that today I'm going to be unboxing a copy of Jaws of the Lion. I hope you all enjoy the video. I have a sealed copy of Jaws of the Lion right here, and I am very excited to see what is inside. So, it is a fully cooperative fantasy campaign adventure by Isaac Childress. If we look here, alright, so it says, you are a member of Jaws of the Lion, one of the most infamous mercenary groups in this rundown backwater. When a sinister cabal starts disappearing the less fortunate of the city, it somehow falls to you to get to the bottom of it, so long as you get paid for your trouble. Alright, based on the highest rated board game of all time, as rated on BoardGameGeek.com. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, is a fully cooperative campaign game of tactical combat in a unique fantasy world. Players will assume the roles of hardened mercenaries and work together to fight through a campaign full of choices, challenges, and twists. Each scenario offers streamlined tactical combat without dice against fully automated enemies, where using the right ability at the right time can mean the difference between success and failure. You don't need anyone to prepare the campaign or control the monsters. Just open the box and start playing together. Alright, so play as a standalone game or as an expansion to Gloomhaven. And we have the four characters here. We have the Demolitionist, the Hatchet, the Red Guard, and the Void Warden. And then we have includes 2 scenario books, including 25 scenarios, Learn As You Play guide and rulebook, 4 playable minis, each with their own decks and character sheets, 16 unique monsters, each with standees and decks, city map with stickers, 20 plus event cards, 100 plus tokens, extra content revealed as you play. Alright, so let's take off this shrink here. Alright, there it is. Without the shrink, let's move all that to the side, and let's crack this lid open. Okay, so we have Welcome to Gloomhaven. Stop. Read this before you do anything else. There are more components in this game box than you may be used to, and it's important to make sure they stay organized before you start and play the game. This sheet will give you step-by-step instructions on how to easily organize your game box and where to go from there so you can start playing as fast as possible. Alright, this is definitely something that could have been used inside Gloomhaven. We have some do not open A, B, C, or D boxes. Alright, so I think this will be helpful for newcomers, and yeah, I definitely think this is something that I wish was in Gloomhaven, because in Gloomhaven you just are kind of left to your own devices. There's not really an insert. I can show a picture on the screen of the Gloomhaven insert. It's nothing to write home about, and you're just left to your own devices, but hopefully this one's a little bit better. Alright, Learn to Play guide. So, let's see. This is kind of like a... Oh, let's see. So, you have Scenario 1 rules, and then maybe you introduce some more rules for Scenario 2, and so there's a tutorial in this Scenario 3 rules, and then 4, and then Scenario 5 rules, and then some final rules. So I like the idea of not having all the rules thrust at you at once until you have played it a couple of times. Should be pretty accessible. So this is a glossary. So I'm thinking it kind of looks like what Fantasy Flight has been doing lately, where, I mean, they've been doing this for a while, where you have 2 books. You have a Learn to Play guide that teaches you all the basics you need to know how to play the game, and then you have a rules reference or a glossary, so you can look up different rules. Like if you wanted to know what, how do you focus, which is a pretty complex, it's one of the most complex rules, you can just look in here and see it, instead of having to flip through a rulebook, which is nice. So right here we have a supplemental scenario book, and then we're here with the normal full scenario book. So one difference between this and Gloomhaven is that in Gloomhaven you have a bunch of tiles, and you put those tiles together to create the map. In this, the map is on the book, and so this is the fourth scenario, and it looks pretty cool. Yeah, so setting up the game is just as simple as opening up, flipping to the right page. And then this supplemental scenario book, I think, is for, you can kind of add this on to the scenarios in the other book in case the map needs to be larger than 2 pages. Alright, we have location stickers, so we have 25 of those, and these are just to mark which scenarios you have unlocked and which ones you can shade them in. There's a little square there you can shade in after you've completed it, so you can mark what you have done and what you haven't done. It's a nice way of keeping track. It isn't that important in the end, and you can play the game without it. So if you are worried about needing to reset the game in any way, it's really easy to reset the game for Gloomhaven, and I'm assuming this as well. And those stickers are nice and make things a little bit easier, but you could just use a notebook or anything like that. And I have used that a bit. Alright, then we have some coins and damage tokens. So, yeah, these are nice. They punch out decently, easy, and there's no residue on the sides, which is nice. And I'm assuming there's not going to be as many tokens as in Gloomhaven, but there's still going to be a bit. These are the elemental tokens. These were wooden tokens inside Gloomhaven, but I'm assuming they did that to kind of save on costs or whatever. So you have some traps here, some chests, and the chests are double-sided. Different things thrown on each side. You have tons of conditions here. And then looks like we got some monsters. So these imps were in Gloomhaven. These were not. So let's see. These 2 bosses were not. These guys were not either, and these guys were. Yeah, so were these guys. So there's going to be a couple of repeats, but mostly, hopefully, there'll be new monsters. So here on this one, we have so these 2 are new, and then this is new. So 3 monsters on this sheet that are new, and then the elemental board. That's kind of cool. The Sleeping Lion. Okay, another one. And on this one, these 2 are repeats, and then, let's see, 1, 2, 3 new ones as well. And you're going to have a lot of punching to do, even in this smaller game. Alright. Oh, this is different. I wonder if this is a new version of a trap. I wonder if this is maybe just I don't know, it looks almost like rubble. That's kind of cool. Ooh, cool initiative trackers. These would have been very helpful in Gloomhaven to be able to track where the initiative order, instead of just having all the cards face up with the initiative values on them and just kind of having to figure out which one goes first and remember it. This way you can figure out once, and then you can use those trackers. That'd be nice. So we have these blue tokens, and there's nothing like these inside Gloomhaven. One inside's dark. I wonder if these are like objectives or something. Alright, here it is. It is the map of Gloomhaven. So this is where you're going to be putting the stickers, and there's a grid. So you have A, and then you have A, B, C through F, and then you have 1 through 9. And so if you were to place something on C2, you'd place a sticker here. And these stickers show different locations, and they correspond, they connect into this. So it's usually pretty easy to tell where they go. Yeah, this looks pretty good. And Jaws of the Lion is much smaller scale than Gloomhaven. In Gloomhaven, you have Gloomhaven, the city, but you also have the surrounding areas. You have a huge board, whereas with this, you just have a small little board, and there's only 25 scenarios in this, and they all take place in Gloomhaven. So that's cool. And now we're on to the meat of the components. So let's dig in. Alright, so we have some hit point and experience point trackers. So you'll have one side to track your hit points and then one side to track your experience points. And these are cool. They slide very easily, and they are pre-assembled, which is nice. Alright, now, I'm really excited by this. There is an insert. So again, I'll put that picture of Gloomhaven's insert back on the screen. And yeah, this is a bit of an improvement. You have this tray here. And again, normally in Gloomhaven, you're just left to your own devices. You have to make a tray or buy one or use Ziploc bags or whatever. And this one, they just give you one, which that's really nice. For organization, we have another layer of tray here. So two separate things, and this one you can take out, and if you have all the conditions and coins in here, you can just leave this out, and that'll be nice. We have the 4 miniature boxes, so let's take a look at these. So this one's for the hatchet, and it's kind of obvious. It's a hatchet symbol. So, oh my goodness. Oops. It's not super easy to open. And we have our hatchet character, who looks pretty cool. I'm not a miniature expert, but there seems to be a decent amount of detail. It's not going to be the best miniature ever, but it is okay. I'm really looking forward to playing the hatchet character. And then we have this character, which I think is the Void Warden. Alright, there we go. I didn't break that one. And she has a book, which is kind of cool. Kind of like the spellcaster type character. And then this one, I think this is the Red Guard. Who's kind of like the tank, probably, of the bunch. Oh man, let's see if I can open this without completely busting it up. It's not cooperating. There we go. Okay. So, we have him. He has like a sickle, and then a shield. There's a chain attached to it. So I think it's like kind of a more like medium range type guy, so he looks kind of cool. And then finally, we have the Demolitionist. And this is going to be a Quartril. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. And they're kind of like little bug type creatures, and they're very small. So for scale, the Inox, which is the Onyx Hatchet, is one of the largest races, and then the Quartril is one of the smallest races. Let's take a closer look. Alright, so pretty cool. Some rubble she's like jumping from or something. And I've heard that the Demolitionist is for people who like the theme of the Tinkerer class from Gloomhaven, kind of the steampunk type engineer tinkerer. But they did not like the mechanics of the Tinkerer, where he was very versatile and more support-based. They wanted more punchy type character. So it's kind of what the Demolitionist is supposed to be. So we have these 4 envelopes, or boxes, that you're not supposed to open. And you're probably not supposed to drop them either. So you have 4 of those, and I'm not sure what they are. Of course, because I haven't played it. And then we have these. So these are the city events. Let's see. Alright. So in Gloomhaven, there's 2 types of events. There's city events and then road events. City events happen in the town of Gloomhaven, and the road events happen elsewhere. And this one, because it's all in Gloomhaven, everything just happens in Gloomhaven. So, wow, these are kind of smooth. Huh, feel nice. I think this is probably like the expansion symbol down here, the lion. That would make sense. And then we have, let's see, 22 of those. And how these work, you have some story, and then you have a choice, A or B, and then you'll flip it over, and there'll be an outcome based off what you chose. But you don't really want to look at those, because there'll be spoilers. Then we have these battle goals. And I've heard that there are 24 new ones, so even if you have Gloomhaven, there will be quite a few that you actually do not have. And again, these feel really nice. They feel much nicer than a Gloomhaven's cards. But you have different things, and these are little missions that you're trying to do between each game. So maybe you're trying to be an acrobat and lose a card to negate suffering 5 or more damage. Or maybe you're a Ravager, perform 2 actions with lost icons in the same turn. That's not great. But you have all sorts of different goals you're trying to do. And then we have items. So there's a ton of items in Gloomhaven. There's not as many in this, because everything's just a little bit smaller. But these are little pieces of equipment that you can take to make your character more powerful. So you have the Eagle Eye Goggles, which during your attack gain advantage for the entire attack action. So it gives you more accuracy, or the Winged Shoes, Poisoned Dagger. Let's see, is there anything new? I'm sure there's some new stuff. The Robe of Command, that is the same image that was in another item in Gloomhaven, but it's different. Oh, this is new. The Oak Charm. Yeah, so you'll be able to unlock these, and there's a total of 36 unique items you'll be able to unlock and then purchase. And then we have the attack modifier cards. So with how it works, in how Gloomhaven and, of course, Jaws of the Lion works, is that you have this deck of attack modifiers. And so everyone will have a deck, including the monsters. They'll share a deck. And every time you attack, you're going to draw the top card, and there'll be some advantage or disadvantage. So this one's you multiply your damage by 2. This one is you completely miss, which those are the really good and bad ones. But then you have a +2 or a -2. And so you have this, and it's a randomizer. It's slightly less random than a die. It still is random, but it's slightly less random than rolling some dice, because once you get a card, if I got this -1, I'm not going to be able to get the same card until I reshuffle, which there are 2 cards in the deck, the miss, and then the ×2, the critical hit, and they both have this symbol here, and when you get that symbol, you have to reshuffle. So you're going to be reshuffling every so often, but it is slightly less random than a die. It's also customizable, so these are curse cards, so whenever your character gets cursed, you're going to have to shuffle these extra miss cards in there, or when you are blessed, you can shuffle extra ×2 cards in there. And those are like one-time use things that you can use. And then, as we'll see in the characters, you're going to be able to customize your own deck as you level up. So let's see, we have the monsters here. So monster AI cards. Alright, and so each monster has a deck of 8 cards, and that's specific to that monster. So this is the Vermling Scouts deck, and each turn you're going to draw 1, and that's what the monster is going to do. So he's going to go on initiative 29, and he's going to use his short bow, and so he's going to do a move action, then an attack action at range 3, and so you have all these different things that this deck will control each monster's actions. And each monster has their own deck, which means that you're going to have each monster behaving different from each other, which is really cool. We have, let's see, I think these are Ziploc bags. Yes, they are. So that is nice. Because again, Gloomhaven just left you to fend for yourself. Jaws of the Lion actually provides bags for you. So that's very much appreciated. And then we have these standees. So you have the yellow ones for elite monsters, and then you have the white ones for normal monsters. And how these work, it's pretty simple. You're going to take when you're fighting against a monster, you're going to slide him in here, and then you're going to be able to move him around the board. So our characters get these cool miniatures. The monsters get these standees. that are 2D, and it's much cheaper than having tons of miniatures, and takes a lot less space, but they still look cool and they're functional. So we have the monster attack modifiers, Curse and Bless, unavailable items, available items. Oh, I think these are dividers. So again, trying to make it more accessible for new players, you are going to be able to have these dividers to make your organizing a lot easier. Alright, we have these monster stat cards. We can open this up. Alright, here we go. And these little cards right here, these control the monster's actions, but these cards here control the monster's stats. So if we take this giant viper here, you are going to be able to take one of these little sleeves and set the monster to whatever level. So this would be a level 1 monster here, or if we wanted to fight against the hardest type of this monster, which would be a level 7, we'd put it like so. And then they'd have all their stats there, so you have 10 hit points, 4 movement, 3 attack, and then poison. For the normal white-based monsters, but then if you had a yellow base, it would be an elite monster, and so then you use these stats over here, which are much more difficult, and so you have, it scales to your level as you level up, and then these little sections here are where you can put different status effects and damage tokens as you deal damage to the monsters to track them. Now, there are apps out for this game as well. I'm not sure if anything actually supports Jaws of the Lion yet, because it came out yesterday, as I'm recording this on the 22nd, but give it a little bit of time, and you will find apps that support this game, and that can manage all of your monsters' attack modifier decks and stats, and a lot of things, which makes it much simpler to play the game, and it requires less space, and it takes less time to set up. And then we have the 4 character envelopes. So let's take a look at the Demolitionist first. And this is where all the goodies for the character are. So we have a lot of stuff here. Alright. Oh, okay. So first off, we have character sheets. So you have 5 sheets per character. And this is where you can track their name, level, experience points, gold, items, check marks that you can use for perks, and then the actual perks here. So you have different like skill trees per character, and so this is how you upgrade their deck. So this one you can remove 2 -1 cards or remove 1 -2 card from your deck to make it more powerful. You also have these player boards. So you have your discard pile, you can go here, your active cards up here, and then your lost cards here. Shows your hit points to level ratio. Your items go down here, conditions can go there, and then you have your hand size, and on the other side, it just tells you a bit about your character class. Then you have these little trackers, which can be used for various things, as need be. Kind of difficult to punch out, but if you have like armor, you can track your armor's resilience and stuff with that. You have halts. Do not open this pack of cards until your character reaches level 5. At that time, flip this card over and read the back for further instructions. Alright, and then this one also says, halts. Do not open this pack of cards until you are directed to do so. These cards are added to your attack modifier deck as your character becomes more powerful. You won't need them at the start of the campaign. So again, they're trying very hard to make it very accessible, so you're not just being overloaded with tons of stuff. And you already have a ton of stuff, as you can see from the mess of my table. It's getting kind of crazy. But they're trying hard to make it so you don't get overwhelmed, and so you actually stay and play the game. We have the character attack modifier deck, which is exactly the same for each character, and all has their, as well as the monsters, and has all their stuff here. So all the same, 20 cards, same ratios of everything, but you have one of those per player. And then we have our player reference with everything here, and then you have the ability cards. So Each character has their own bunch of ability cards, and you're going to start with level 1 cards equal to your character's hand size, which is found right here. And you are going to have that many cards in your hand. You're going to be playing them, and as you level up, you're going to be adding more powerful cards to your deck. So you have a little bit of character customization through deck building, almost, which I like deck building. So these blue ones, let's see, tell you, one adjacent enemy suffers 3 damage plus modifier. So these blue squares just tell you exactly what it does. So you don't, like when you are familiar with the game, you know that when you see attack followed by a value of 3, it means to deal 3 damage plus a modifier to one adjacent enemy. But for this, it just clearly breaks it down right there what it does. Same for this one right here, and all your cards, just for your first couple of games. So again, makes it very accessible to new players. And then all characters have the same contents, so I'll just go through those pretty quickly. So we have our Void Warden. Again, it's all the same stuff. Character sheets, and then all the cards for them. And again, it tells you to halt for these 2 decks, and then we can go ahead and open these. The attack modifier deck is, again, the same exact thing as the Demolitionists. Play rate is the same. Back is kind of cool. Each character has different colors and stuff. And then it's the same deal here. You have the breakdown of what it does, and then as you get to more advanced cards, it tells you, it doesn't give you the, it doesn't really hold your hand anymore after you get to a certain point in the game, which is, well, it's not necessary after a certain point, because you're familiar with the game. Now, putting this away, this and Gloomhaven, unboxing it is pretty easy. It's a lot easier just to do. But putting it back, that is when it gets difficult. So, we'll see what happens there. Alright, so we have the red guard and full color art. So if you wanted to paint the miniatures, you could just go off this to show you what colors and things. Again, halts. And then this is identical. We have more ability trackers. And then we have the cards here. So we have this thing here. I'm not going to open these because it's kind of all the... We're not going to go reading everything. And then finally the Hatchet, the character I want to play a lot. And I think now is a good time to note that when you are playing Gloomhaven solo, which I assume most of you will be, of those of you who are subscribed to this channel, which is solo gaming, most of you are going to be playing solo, and so you need to control 2 characters. So I'm going to do the Hatchet, and then I'll do one other character for my first playthrough, and then for my second playthrough I could play 2 different characters. And there's actually limited compatibility with this and Gloomhaven, both ways. For the most part, I believe it is just restricted to characters, so if you like the Tinkerer, you could play the Tinkerer and the Demolitionist here if you wanted to have 2 more steampunky type techie characters. So everything here just goes with itself, but you can swap out characters. So I could take the Hatchet here, which I like that color right there. I could take the Hatchet and play with the Brute starting character from Gloomhaven, in Gloomhaven, or here. So I think that's kind of cool. And then if you have Frosthaven, when that arrives, that's a lot of text there. You are going to have close to 40 characters if you have this, Forgotten Circles, Gloomhaven, and for Frosthaven. You're going to have a ton of characters to choose from and are going to have all sorts of interesting combinations between them. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so you get a lot of stuff in this box, and even though it is a smaller Gloomhaven, it still isn't very small. So let's zoom out a little bit. So yeah, so you have a ton of stuff here, and this is what we call small Gloomhaven, which, yeah, it is smaller than Gloomhaven, but if you are a Gloomhaven player, you like games with a lot of components. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day. Happy gaming.